Rex scratched desperately at the door, whimpering softly. "Stop that, you useless mutt!" she yelled, shoving him into the room. The dog watched through the crack in the door as another man entered. When the owner arrived and saw the marks on the wood, what he discovered would change everything forever. Before we start today's story, tell me where you're watching from. Take a moment to grab some coffee or settle in on the couch, and please don't forget to support us. All you have to do is click like, and I'll know you enjoy this kind of story. All right, ready? Let's dive in. Tuesday morning began like any other in the small yellow house on Blossom Street. Rex, a mixed-breed dog with golden fur and expressive eyes, was lying on the living room rug when he heard the familiar sound of car keys. His owner was heading out for another day of work at the downtown auto shop. "Bye, Rex. Keep an eye on the house for me, okay?" the man said, giving the dog a quick pat on the head before leaving through the front door. The dog wagged his tail and followed the movement to the window, watching the car disappear around the corner. It was always the same. He left at 7 in the morning and didn't return until late afternoon. Rex had learned the routine long ago, ever since he'd arrived at the house as an abandoned puppy 3 years prior. But in recent months, something had drastically changed in that residence, and Rex felt it in every fiber of his being. "Finally," exclaimed a female voice from the bedroom. His owner's fiancée appeared in the living room, still in her robe, a look on her face that the dog knew all too well, and that made him instinctively flinch. It was astonishing how completely she could transform when they were alone. Over the 2 years of their relationship, Rex had witnessed this shift happen gradually. At first, when she was just a girlfriend who came to visit, she treated him with a certain disguised indifference. She'd give superficial pets when her boyfriend was present, but avoided any real contact with the animal. "Are you just going to stand there staring like an idiot all day?" she asked, crossing her arms and walking towards the dog. Rex lowered his head, knowing exactly what was coming next. For the past 6 months, ever since she'd moved into the house permanently after the proposal, the animal's life had become a silent nightmare. "Go to the backyard! Now!" she yelled, pointing to the back door. The dog obeyed immediately, walking with his tail tucked between his legs. He knew resisting would only make things worse. He'd learned that the hard way. As soon as Rex was outside, she locked the glass door leading to the back of the house. It was always the same routine: isolate him completely from the house during the day, especially when she had her special visitors. From the backyard, Rex could partially see into the house through some gaps in the fence and the small bathroom window that was left ajar. He had developed an impressive observational capacity, and what he saw deeply disturbed him. Around 9 o'clock, as had become custom, the front gate opened. A different man entered the house. It wasn't the first time Rex had seen that face. It was the third different man to appear there during the week, always at the same time, always when the owner was at work. The dog felt his protective instincts intensify with each visit. He wanted to bark, to alert the entire neighborhood, but he had learned that making noise on these occasions resulted in painful consequences for him. Still, Rex couldn't remain completely silent. He began scratching at the door, trying to get attention. His low whimpers echoed through the empty yard, carrying an anguish that only he fully understood. Inside the house, he could hear laughter and conversations that lasted for hours. It was psychological torture for an animal who had been raised to be loyal, protective, and a companion. When the man finally left around noon, Rex saw through the crack how she quickly tidied up the house, erasing any trace of the visit. It was a well-rehearsed operation, executed with the precision of someone who had done it many times. The dog knew he had to find a way to communicate this terrible truth to his owner. But how? At 6 in the evening, the familiar sound of the car in the driveway made Rex run to the back door. His joyful barks echoed through the yard. It was the only moment of the day he could express genuine happiness. "Rex, how was your day, boy?" the owner asked, unlocking the door and petting the dog who jumped up at his legs. "Honey, you're home," she exclaimed from the kitchen, appearing with a radiant smile and a floral apron. "Dinner's almost ready. Rex spent the whole day playing in the yard, didn't he, baby?" The dog looked at her, then at his owner, feeling frustration surge in his chest. If only he could talk. If only he could explain what really happened in that house during the day. "He seems a little restless today," the man observed, noticing how Rex remained uneasy even after the petting. "Oh, you know how he is. He gets like this sometimes," she replied, quickly changing the subject. "Come eat before it gets cold." During dinner, Rex remained lying at his owner's feet, observing her every move intently. There was something in the way she avoided the dog's gaze, something in the almost imperceptible tension in her shoulders that confirmed his worst fears. "Honey, we need to talk about Rex," she said suddenly, cutting a piece of meat with precise movements. The man looked up from his plate, surprised. "Talk about what?" "Well, I've been thinking. After the wedding, maybe it would be best if we found a new home for him." The silence that followed was deafening. Rex lifted his head, feeling a pang of panic shoot through his body. His ears perked up and he let out a low whimper. "What do you mean, a new home? Rex's family?" "I know, sweetie, but think about it," she continued, her voice taking on a persuasive tone. "We're getting married, maybe having kids soon. A dog this size could be dangerous for small children. And besides, he's been getting more aggressive lately." "Aggressive? Rex?" The man chuckled incredulously. "He doesn't have an aggressive bone in his body." "You're not here during the day," she insisted. "Just yesterday he growled at me when I tried to feed him. And last week, when my sister visited, he almost bit her." Rex felt as if he'd been punched in the stomach. Every word was a carefully constructed lie. He had never growled at her. In fact, he spent most of his time trying to hide when they were alone. "That doesn't sound like the Rex I know at all," the man said, frowning. "Maybe you don't know him as well as you think," she replied softly. "Animals can change, especially when they're going through changes in their routine at home." The man looked at Rex, who was staring intently at him, as if trying to convey the whole truth through his gaze. "I don't know. He's always been so affectionate. Think about it, okay? It doesn't have to be an immediate decision," she said, gently touching his hand. "I just want our new phase to be perfect, without complications." That night, as the couple slept, Rex remained awake on the living room rug. His world was crumbling. Not only did he have to deal with daily mistreatment, but now he also faced the possibility of losing the only home and the only person he truly loved. He knew he had to act, and fast. But how could a dog expose such elaborate lies? How could he show his owner who she really was? During the first few hours of the morning, Rex made a decision. He would no longer be passive. He would find a way to reveal the truth, even if it cost him everything. The next morning, when the man left for work, Rex was prepared. This time, he wouldn't just be a silent observer. He would be a four-legged detective, determined to save not only himself, but also the man he considered family. The operation began the following Wednesday. Rex had spent the entire night planning, if a dog can truly plan, that is. What he knew was that his instincts were screaming at him to take action. When she locked him in the backyard, as usual, Rex didn't go to the usual hiding spot. Instead, he began exploring every inch of the space, looking for a way to document what was happening inside the house. Little by little, he discovered a small opening in the fence that led to the neighbor's yard. It was too narrow for him to pass through, but large enough to stick his head and part of his body. From there, he had a prime view of the living room window. At precisely 9 o'clock, the first visitor arrived. Rex watched him attentively, a tall man with dark hair, wearing a navy blue suit. He carried a bouquet of flowers and a bottle of wine. The dog felt his blood boil. Flowers? Wine? These weren't gifts you gave to a friend. Rex began scratching furiously at the wooden fence, creating deep marks that would serve as evidence later. Inside the house, he could see the two of them talking animatedly on the sofa. She had changed from her robe into a red dress Rex had never seen her wear in his owner's presence. The whole scene was too intimate, too affectionate to be an innocent visit. At one point, Rex saw something that completely unhinged him. She took off her engagement ring and placed it on the coffee table. Then, she hugged the man in a way that left no room for misinterpretation. The dog began to bark desperately, but he knew it would only worsen his situation. He needed a different strategy. He needed proof his owner could see and understand. When the visitor left, around noon, Rex carefully observed her cleaning routine. He saw how she opened all the windows to eliminate any strange smells, how she washed the wine glasses, and how she hid the bouquet in the kitchen cabinet. But there was something she didn't see. One of the roses had fallen from the bouquet and rolled under the sofa. Rex smiled internally. If dogs can smile, this would be his first clue. In the afternoon, when he was released from the backyard, Rex ran straight to the living room. Pretending to play, he began sniffing under the sofa until he found the rose. Carefully, he brought it to the center of the room and left it clearly visible on the rug. "What's this?" she asked, seeing the flower when she returned from the kitchen. Rex watched her intently. He saw the exact moment she recognized the rose, and her face turned pale. He saw how she quickly grabbed the flower and threw it in the trash, nervously checking her watch. "Where did you find that, you?" she began, but stopped herself as she heard the sound of the car in the driveway. "Hi, honey!" the owner exclaimed, entering the door. "How was your day?" "Normal," she replied quickly, still a little pale. "Rex was, playing in the living room." The man bent down to greet Rex, who was visibly agitated. "You seem happy today, boy." If only he knew, Rex thought. If only he knew that this happiness came from the hope of finally being able to communicate the truth. During dinner, Rex remained especially attentive to her movements. He noticed how she avoided talking about the day, how she changed the subject whenever the man mentioned any detail about the domestic routine. That night, when the couple retired to the bedroom, Rex stayed in the living room, mentally replaying the day's events. He had achieved his first small victory, but he knew he needed much more than a rose to convince his owner of the truth. The dog looked at the bedroom door, where he could hear the muffled conversation of the couple. He knew she was probably planting more seeds of doubt about him, paving the way to get rid of the only obstacle that could expose her lies. Rex closed his eyes and made a silent promise. He wouldn't give up. On Thursday, Rex put the second phase of his plan into action. He had noticed that she always used her phone during visits, probably coordinating the meetings or talking to others about her secrets. When he was locked in the backyard again, Rex decided to make strategic noise. Not desperate barks that might annoy her, but specific sounds that could attract someone's attention. The neighbor in the house next door was an elderly woman who spent most of her time tending to her garden. Rex had noticed that she always looked over the fence when she heard strange noises coming from the neighboring property. Around 10 o'clock, Rex began to rhythmically scratch a piece of metal he found in the yard. The metallic sound echoed through the neighborhood, creating a persistent and intriguing noise. "What's that noise?" the neighbor murmured, appearing in her garden. Rex intensified the scratching, alternating with low whimpers. He wanted to sound distressed but not aggressive. "Rex, are you okay in there?" the lady asked, approaching the fence. As she got closer, Rex ran to the opening in the fence and stuck his snout through, trying to establish eye contact. His expressive eyes conveyed an anguish that the woman immediately perceived. "Oh my goodness, you look desperate," she whispered. "Where are your owners?" Rex pointed his snout towards the house, then whimpered again. The neighbor followed the animal's gaze and noticed a strange car in the driveway, not the car of the guy who lived there. At that moment, a female laugh echoed from the house, followed by a male voice that was definitely not the fiancé's. The neighbor's expression changed completely. Her eyes widened, and she looked back at Rex, who continued whimpering and pointing at the house. "Oh my God," she murmured. "You're trying to tell me something, aren't you?" Rex shook his head vigorously and continued pointing at the house. The neighbor watched for a few minutes, clearly disturbed by what she was hearing and seeing. When the strange man left the house an hour later, the neighbor hid behind a tree in her own yard, but kept watching. She saw him kiss the woman goodbye before getting into his car and driving away. Rex noticed that he had gained a potential ally. From that day on, whenever he was locked in the yard, he sought the neighbor's attention. She began appearing in the garden during the visit times, mentally documenting everything she saw. In the afternoon, when Rex was released from the yard, he noticed a different tension in the air. She was more nervous than usual, constantly looking towards the window that faced the neighbor's yard. "That nosy old woman has been spying all day," she grumbled to herself, not realizing Rex could hear. When the owner arrived home from work, Rex ran to greet him with extra energy. He wanted to demonstrate how much he loved him, how much he needed him, how much he was trying to protect him. "Wow, Rex, you're super excited today," the man laughed, bending down to receive the dog's affections. During dinner, she brought up the adoption topic again. "Honey, I've been thinking more about what we discussed. I really think it would be best for everyone if we found a new family for Rex before the wedding." "Why the rush?" he asked, seeming genuinely confused. "It's not a rush, it's planning," she replied, her voice taking on a slightly impatient tone. "Marriage is about starting a new life together, and sometimes that means making difficult choices." Rex watched as she skillfully manipulated the conversation, turning his resistance into something that seemed selfish. And what if something happens? What if he attacks a child in the future? Could you live with that guilt? The man looked at Rex, who was lying peacefully at his feet, and shook his head. "I don't know. It's hard to imagine Rex hurting someone." "Trust me," she said, gently touching his arm. "I spend all day with him. I know what he's really like when you're not around." Rex felt his heart break. Every word she spoke was a stab at the trust he had built over 3 years. But now he had hope. The neighbor had seen something, and perhaps she could be the key to revealing the truth. Friday dawned differently. Rex woke up with a strange feeling, as if something important was about to happen. There was an agitation in the air that he could sense, but not fully identify. When the owner left for work, she seemed particularly tense. Instead of immediately getting ready to receive her usual visitors, she paced the house, talking on the phone in low, urgent tones. "No, he can't come today," she whispered into the phone. "That old neighbor is suspicious of something. Yes, she was watching yesterday. No, we can't risk it." Rex, who was being led to the backyard, stopped walking and listened intently. It was the first time he'd heard her mention the neighbor, and it confirmed his suspicions that he had managed to draw attention to the situation. "Go to the backyard," she yelled, pushing him harder than usual. But this time Rex resisted. He planted his paws on the ground and refused to leave the living room. "I said, go to the backyard." Rex looked directly into her eyes, and for the first time in months he showed no fear. Instead, there was determination, a quiet strength that disconcerted her. "You think you're so smart, don't you?" she whispered, moving dangerously close. "Think you can defy me?" Rex didn't move. He continued to look at her as if to say, "I know who you really are." For a moment, there was a psychological tug-of-war between them. She trying to intimidate him, he refusing to be intimidated. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Both of them startled. She wasn't expecting anyone, and Rex immediately realized this was his chance. "Who could that be at this hour?" she muttered, walking towards the front window. It was the elderly neighbor holding a covered dish. "Damn it," she whispered through her teeth. The doorbell rang again, more insistently this time. With an annoyed sigh, she went to the door and opened it with a forced smile. "Hi, Mrs. Marlene. What a surprise." "Hello, dear. I brought over a cake I made yesterday. We had plenty left, and I thought of you," the neighbor said, but Rex noticed her eyes were carefully scanning the interior of the house. "How thoughtful, but you didn't have to bother." "Of course, can I come in for a minute? I wanted to say hi to Rex too. He seemed a little distressed in the yard yesterday." Rex felt his heart race. The neighbor was clearly investigating, and this was exactly what he needed. "Oh, he gets like that sometimes," she replied, trying to block the entrance. "Today isn't a good day. I'm a bit busy." "It'll be quick, dear. I just want to see how he's doing," Mrs. Marlene insisted, already taking a step inside. Rex seized the opportunity. He ran to the neighbor and began sniffing her hands, showing a gentleness and docility that completely contrasted with the description she had given of him. "Hi, Rex. How are you, my dear?" Mrs. Marlene said, petting the dog. "You don't seem aggressive at all to me." Rex looked meaningfully at the neighbor, then at her, then back at Mrs. Marlene. It was as if he were trying to communicate something very important. "Aggressive?" the neighbor asked, frowning. "Oh, no. He's not aggressive," she stammered, realizing she had said too much. "He's just temperamental sometimes." Mrs. Marlene continued petting Rex, who was clearly desperate to communicate something. The dog began running in small circles, always returning to the neighbor as if trying to lead her somewhere. "He's trying to show me something," Mrs. Marlene observed. "No, he just gets like this when there are visitors," she lied quickly. But Rex didn't give up. He continued trying to guide the neighbor through the house, his eyes begging her to understand that something was very wrong in that place. The tension in the air was palpable, and Rex knew this was a crucial moment. Finally, there was someone who could help him expose the truth. Mrs. Marlene's visit lasted only 10 minutes, but it was enough for Rex to realize he had planted an important seed of suspicion. The neighbor left clearly disturbed, and as she said goodbye, she made an observation that left her visibly nervous. "Take good care of this dog. He's very special," Mrs. Marlene said, looking directly at Rex. "Animals like him are rare. They sense things that we humans can't perceive." After the neighbor left, she stood at the door for a long time, clearly calculating the risks of the situation. "That woman is suspicious," she muttered to herself, slamming the door shut. Rex watched as she cancelled all visits for the day, spending hours on the phone explaining that it wasn't safe and that things needed to cool down. For the first time in months, Rex spent the entire day inside the house, not because she allowed it, but because she was too afraid to lock him in the yard and attract more attention from the neighborhood. In the afternoon, while she was distracted organizing wedding plans on the computer, Rex decided to explore the house for more evidence. He had learned to move silently, a skill developed after months of living under constant tension. In the couple's bedroom, under her bed, Rex found something that shocked him: a shoebox full of cards, small gifts and photos. They were mementos from various different relationships, love letters signed by different men, intimate photos with people who were definitely not his owner. Among the items was a recent card. "To my beautiful, can't wait for you to get rid of that meddling dog and start our life together. Love, Carlos." Rex felt as if he'd been punched in the gut. It wasn't just about infidelity, it was about an elaborate plan to destroy his family and build a new life with someone else. The dog heard approaching footsteps and quickly left the room, his heart pounding. He needed to find a way to show his owner this evidence. But how? When the man arrived home from work that evening, Rex was visibly agitated. He ran to him with desperate energy, trying to lead him to the bedroom. "Calm down, Rex. What's gotten into you?" The man laughed, thinking it was just normal excitement. "He's been acting strange all day," she commented, watching the dog's reactions intently. "I think he's getting even more unstable." Rex stopped running and looked at her, then at his owner. It was frustrating to have so much important information and not be able to communicate it. During dinner, she attacked the adoption topic again. "Honey, today I'm absolutely convinced Rex needs to go. The neighbor came over and he lost it completely, running around the house, trying to, I don't know, attack her or something." "Attack, Mrs. Marlene!" The man seemed genuinely surprised, but she's always been nice to him. "You didn't see how he was. It was terrifying." She lied with impressive conviction. What if it had been a child? What if it had been our future child? Rex watched as she manipulated every word, every gesture, turning his attempt at communication into evidence against himself. "I've even found a family interested," she continued. "It's a farm in the countryside with plenty of space for him to run. It would be much better for him than being stuck here in the city." "A farm?" The man frowned. "When did you have time to look for that?" "This afternoon. I was researching online and found this lovely family. They specialize in rehabilitating problematic dogs." Every word was a stab to Rex's heart. She was building a complete narrative to get rid of him, and she did it with an ease that showed how much she had planned it. "I don't know," the man said, looking at Rex with uncertainty for the first time. Rex felt he was losing the battle. He needed to act quickly before it was too late. That night, while they slept, he made a desperate decision. He would find a way to bring the evidence to his owner, even if it meant breaking all the house rules. Time was running out, and Rex knew he might only have a few more days before he lost his family forever. Saturday arrived with a different energy in the house. It was the day she had scheduled to show Rex to the farm family, and the tension was almost palpable. Rex knew this was likely his last day to act. During the morning, while she got ready to go out, Rex noticed she left her purse open on the bed. It was his chance. Silently, the dog approached and, using his snout, managed to retrieve her phone from the purse. He didn't know exactly what to do with the device, but his instincts guided him to hide it behind the living room sofa. Minutes later, she appeared in the living room, searching frantically. "Where's my phone?" she muttered, rummaging through cushions and drawers. Rex watched her search, pretending to be asleep on the rug. When she went out to look in the car, he quickly retrieved the phone and brought it to the living room coffee table, leaving it in plain sight. "Here it is," she exclaimed upon returning and seeing the device. "I swear I didn't leave it here." But when she picked up the phone, she noticed the screen was on, showing recent messages. Her face turned pale as she saw that the last conversations were open, precisely those containing the plans with Carlos about getting rid of Rex and the fiancé. Rex watched her panic, quickly deleting the incriminating messages. But the damage was done. If she was nervous, it meant there was evidence that could destroy her. "How did this happen?" she whispered to herself, looking suspiciously at Rex. The dog continued to pretend to sleep, but his ears were attentive to her every move. That afternoon, when the owner returned from work early to meet the farm family, Rex decided to make his last desperate attempt. While they were talking in the living room about the adoption details, Rex ran to the bedroom and, using his paws and teeth, managed to drag the shoebox from under the bed to the bedroom door. The noise attracted everyone's attention. "What was that?" the man asked. "Must be Rex messing with something." she replied quickly. But Rex noticed the nervousness in her voice. "I'll go see what it is," the man said, standing up. "No need, honey. I'll go," she preempted, rushing towards the bedroom. But Rex was faster. With a desperate surge, he managed to open the box with his paws, scattering cards, photos, and letters into the hallway. "What the hell?" the man exclaimed, seeing the papers scattered on the floor. Rex grabbed one of the photos with his mouth, a photo of her kissing another man, and ran to his owner, depositing the image at his feet. The silence that followed was deafening. The man slowly bent down and picked up the photograph. His eyes widened as he saw the image. Then he looked at her, who stood frozen in the bedroom doorway. "What is this?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. I can explain," she stammered. Rex ran back and brought more evidence. Carlos's card, other photos, a love letter dated from the previous week. Each item Rex brought was like a piece of a puzzle that was finally coming together. The man picked up each piece of evidence with trembling hands, his expression shifting from confusion to shock, then to deep pain. "How long?" he asked, his voice breaking. She tried to approach. "Honey, please, let me explain." "How long?" he shouted, and Rex had never heard his owner shout like that. Rex positioned himself between them, sensing a dangerous energy in the air. He looked at the man he loved and saw tears beginning to form in his eyes. Finally, after months of forced silence, Rex had managed to speak. Not with words, but with evidence that could not be denied or manipulated. The truth was finally exposed, but Rex knew the pain was just beginning. The ensuing argument echoed through the house for hours. Rex remained close to his owner, watching as the man he loved slowly crumbled before the irrefutable evidence. 2 years, she finally confessed, after trying to deny and make excuses for almost an hour. "But it doesn't mean anything. It's you I love. It's you I want to marry." 2 years, he repeated, looking at the letters scattered on the floor. "Throughout our entire relationship, throughout the time we planned our wedding." Rex watched as his owner held one of the letters, where Carlos wrote about their plans to travel abroad after she got rid of the idiot boyfriend and the meddling dog. "And Rex?" the man suddenly asked, his voice laden with a rage Rex had never heard before. "Did you really mistreat him?" There was a heavy silence. She looked at Rex, who was staring directly at her, fearless for the first time in months. "He was always a problem," she finally said, her mask of kindness completely dissolved. "Always meddling, always watching everything." Rex saw his owner clench his fists. "Meddling? He's a dog. He lives here. He almost ruined everything several times, always trying to get attention when Carlos was here." The confession came out like an explosion, and Rex saw the exact moment she realized she had said too much. "Carlos was here? In our house?" The man stood up, his voice rising an octave. "How many times? That doesn't matter anymore. How many times?" Rex backed away slightly, startled by the intensity of the emotion, but at the same time feeling a strange satisfaction. Finally, the truth was being revealed in all its cruelty. 3, 4 times a week, she murmured, "but always when you were working. I never disrespected you in your presence." The absurdity of her logic left the man speechless. Rex watched as his owner looked around the house, his house, trying to process that she had been repeatedly desecrated for months. "And you hit Rex to keep him quiet?" Rex instinctively moved closer to his owner, feeling that he could finally seek protection without fear. "I never hit him," she lied. "Just disciplined him when necessary." But Rex remembered every push, every shout, every moment of terror in the backyard. While he heard strange voices inside the house, he considered his fortress. The man bent down and petted Rex, who had begun to tremble slightly with the memories. "Oh my God, Rex, You were trying to protect me the whole time, weren't you? Rex rested his head on his owner's hand and sighed deeply. It was the first time in months he had felt truly safe. You need to leave, the man said, his voice taking on a firmness Rex recognized as final. Now, please, can we talk about this? Now, he shouted, and Rex saw a strength in his owner he had never seen before. Over the next hour, Rex watched as she quickly packed her bags, trying to argue, beg, and even threaten, but to no avail. The man had transformed. He was no longer the passionate, trusting boyfriend, but someone who had woken up from a nightmare. When she finally left, taking only the essentials, the house fell silent for a long time. Rex and his owner remained sitting in the living room, surrounded by the debris of a life that had been built on lies. I should have realized, the man finally said, his voice laden with guilt. You tried to warn me so many times. Rex moved closer and rested his head on his owner's lap, offering the only comfort he could. I'm sorry, boy. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. That night, for the first time in months, Rex slept in the bed next to his owner, not because he had disobeyed a rule, but because he had finally returned to where he should have always been. The battle was won, but Rex knew healing would take time for both of them. The following days were a strange mix of relief and recovery. The house felt different without her presence, lighter, but also marked by a deep melancholy. Rex watched his owner deal with the pain of betrayal, offering silent companionship during the most difficult moments. It was the following Monday when Mrs. Marlene appeared at the door again, this time bringing more than just a cake. Hello, dear, she said to the man when he opened the door. I came to see how you two are doing. I heard some rumors. Rex ran to greet the neighbor, showing a gratitude she immediately understood. Mrs. Marlene, you saved our lives, the man said, inviting her inside. It wasn't me, she replied, petting Rex. It was this boy here. He'd been trying to tell me something for days. I've never seen an animal so desperate to communicate something. Sitting in the living room, the man told the neighbor everything he had discovered. Rex remained at his feet, occasionally receiving pets that reaffirmed he was finally safe. I suspected something wasn't right, Mrs. Marlene admitted. Those strange cars, the noises, and especially the way Rex behaved. A dog doesn't get that desperate for no reason. I almost gave him up for adoption, the man said, his voice laden with remorse. I almost lost the best friend I ever had because of her lies. Rex looked at his owner and for the first time in a long time wagged his tail with genuine joy. Animals are much wiser than we imagine, Mrs. Marlene observed. They sense people's intentions much more purely than we do. Rex knew exactly who she was. That week, the story spread through the neighborhood. Neighbors who barely knew Rex began greeting him on the street, calling him a hero and a detective dog. But for Rex, the only approval that mattered was his owner's. The man cancelled all wedding preparations, a painful task that Rex accompanied closely. Every call to suppliers, every cancelled invitation was a reminder of the life that could have been, but which, thanks to Rex's persistence, never materialized. You saved more than our relationship, the man said one night as they watched TV together on the couch. You saved the rest of my life. Rex snuggled closer, feeling his words were true. If she had managed to get rid of him and marry him, the man would have eventually discovered the truth, but perhaps too late, after years of marriage, perhaps with children involved, certainly with much more pain and complications. During these weeks of recovery, Rex also underwent his own healing. Nightmares about being locked in the yard gradually diminished. He felt relaxed inside his own home again, no longer needing to be constantly alert for danger. A month after the confrontation, they received an unexpected visitor. It was Carlos, the man from the letters and photos. She told me what happened, he said, looking genuinely embarrassed. I want you to know I had no idea you were still together. She told me you had broken up months ago." Rex watched the conversation from the doorway, ready to act if necessary, but realizing there was no real danger from this man, just someone who had been manipulated as much as his owner. "She's very convincing," the man admitted. "I believed her for 2 years. When Carlos left, Rex approached his owner, who was visibly shaken by the confirmation that she had lied to everyone involved. "At least now we know the full truth," the man said, petting Rex, "and we know we have each other." That night, Rex slept deeply, knowing he had fulfilled his most important mission, protecting his family, even if it meant breaking a heart to save a life. 6 months later, the little yellow house on Blossom Street had transformed completely, not just by her absence, but by the presence of a renewed energy that Rex could feel in every corner. His owner had started therapy to deal with the trauma of betrayal, a decision Rex supported by staying by his side during the most difficult days. Gradually, the man began to smile again, to laugh at Rex's antics, to plan small adventures on weekends. "You know, Rex," he said one Saturday morning, making breakfast for both of them, "I think you taught me the biggest lesson of my life." Rex tilted his head, attentive. "You taught me that true love isn't just about pretty feelings and sweet words. It's about protection, loyalty, and being willing to fight for those you love, even when the whole world is against you." The dog approached and rested his head on his owner's leg, a gesture that had become a daily ritual of reaffirming the love between them. Mrs. Marlene continued to be a constant presence in their lives, often bringing over treats and neighborhood gossip. She had become a sort of adopted grandmother to Rex, always reminding everyone how he had been a four-legged detective. "You should write a book about this," she joked during one of her visits. The story of the dog who saved his owner from a disastrous marriage. Rex liked the idea that his story could inspire others, both humans and animals, to never give up on protecting those they love. On a special afternoon, they received a visitor that left Rex ecstatic with joy. It was a young woman from the local animal shelter, accompanied by a golden-furred female dog who was clearly nervous. "She was rescued a few weeks ago," the volunteer explained. "She suffered mistreatment for a long time and is having trouble trusting humans again. I heard about your story and thought, maybe Rex could help her understand that not all humans are bad." Rex approached the female dog carefully, who flinched at first, but gradually began to relax in his presence. It was as if Rex could communicate, from animal to animal, that this house was safe, that this human was trustworthy. "I think she can stay with us for as long as she needs," the man said, watching as Rex naturally took on the role of protector and mentor. From that day on, the house gained an even more special dynamic. Rex was no longer just a pet. He had become a therapist, a living example that it is possible to overcome trauma and find happiness again. Months later, when the female dog finally found a permanent family who would love her unconditionally, Rex felt a deep satisfaction. He had helped another being find its way back to trust and love. "You have a special gift," the man said, watching Rex say goodbye to the adopted dog. "Perhaps our experience happened for a greater reason." Rex looked at him and, for the first time, understood that his story hadn't ended with the exposure of the truth about her. It had become the beginning of something bigger, a life dedicated to protecting, healing, and teaching about the importance of true love. That night, as they watched the sunset from the backyard that had once been the scene of so much suffering for Rex, but which was now a symbol of freedom and peace, the man made a reflection that summarized their entire journey. "Rex, you didn't just save my life. You taught me what it truly means to love someone. It means being willing to fight for them, protect them, and never give up, even when the whole world is against you." Rex settled beside his best friend, knowing he had fulfilled not only his mission to protect, but also to teach one of the most important lessons a being can learn. True love always finds a way to manifest itself. And if this story touched your heart as it touched ours, leave a comment sharing about your own pet and how they show love for you. Because in the end, we all have a Rex in our lives, someone who loves us unconditionally and would do anything to protect us. Share this story so more people can be inspired by the loyalty and love of our four-legged companions.